students of Reddit, what is your favorite Zoom story so far? I live in Lithuania, so most of my teachers don't speak English. Teacher, what does leave meeting mean? Students, in Lithuanian, it means leave meeting. Teachers leaves the meeting. Was sitting in class with my usual background up and got hungry, so I decided to grab a snack out of the cabinet next to me. Come back to my teacher asking in chat, did I just see encyclopedia pull cookies out of a tree? I mean, if it was a wood cabinet then technically. In my class, we have our videos turned on but our audio remains muted except for the professor. Prof decided to unmute a classmate and get him to read the slide only for us to hear him getting yelled at by his parents. That dude just kept reading the slide while his parents yelled at him. Our prof didn't know what to do and just acted like everything was normal. He didn't unmute anyone for the rest of the class though. That's kind of sad. We played a Kahoot and the whole time none of us could see the questions. We had told the teacher over and over again and she thought it was something with splitting our screen, so she repeatedly told us just switch tabs. She kept getting P, so we just stopped playing it. Another time, a student asked if he could share his screen and the teacher said yes and left the meeting and we just watched Peppa Pig for 20 minutes. Another time, a student asked if he could share his screen and the teacher said yes and left the meeting and we just watched Peppa Pig for 20 minutes. NGL, this had me in stitches. A guy who woke up like 5 minutes earlier didn't notice, I hope, that his camera was on. He got dressed in front of 100 plus people. And this is why if I don't specifically plan to use my camera, I disable it in Device Manager. First day of Zoom classes, a kid fell asleep with his camera still on. Also, one of my professors accidentally kicked herself out of the meeting for 5 minutes. I too fell asleep in the first class. My classmates took video of me, lol. In my defense, I didn't sleep anything the night before, but yeah, didn't help I was in the first row of cameras. I use Teams, and my favorite call is when I accidentally announced to my whole class I was going to go toilet. My mic was on and I didn't know it. It was super embarrassing, but now it's really funny because my reaction was super awkward. If you've the nerve, you could make it a running joke and make it your sign off. Teacher, okay class, see you all next time. Other students, bye, see you ugh, etc. You, don't know about you all, but I need the toilet, bye. Second to last class before the final. We are already behind on the material. It's a 3-hour class with a break in the middle. The professor said she is going to rest her eyes for a few minutes. Emailed us about 4 hours later and said she fell asleep. No, I didn't do well on the final. One thing I've learned from school is that you can learn most of the stuff you need from the textbook and the internet. I know this because my teachers were garbage. One of my older teachers didn't know what memes were, has no idea what she's doing in a Zoom call. A couple of weeks before we were supposed to go back to classes, the vice principal sent a message to all the teachers to screenshot their calls for the newsletter to show how we were coping as a school. Fast forward to when we're back, and my teacher had screenshotted our whole class with crappy mean green screens in the middle of the call. And one of my friends is the center image for the newsletter with the communist flag flying proudly behind her. This is just lovely. I would have chosen the couch. One of my teachers managed to turn off her ability to see the chat. Nobody knows how, so naturally somebody started typing the B-movie script. It escalated from there. Very interesting hour. Our teacher was screen sharing and I randomly discovered a pen button. So I clicked on it and turns out you can draw on the shared screen. I just started putting some dots there, thinking, oh, this is cool. Then the teacher said, I don't know who's doing it, but stop drawing on my scan. I kinda freaked out and deleted it. It didn't occur to me that everyone could see it XD. Just start drawing over the teacher's face. My sister told me her professor had a guest speaker but they couldn't get connected to the call, so the professor straight up FaceTimed the guest speaker and held the phone up to her computer. I actually award points to that professor for creative thinking. I'm definitely the dumbass in this. For context, as a joke, me and my friends have been coming up with pretty outrageous names for our Zoom quiz nights. Anyways, the day after my quiz, I have to show up to a workshop with one of my lecturers. And guess who forgot to change his name? I spent the rest of that workshop muted, video off and only communicating through the chat so that no one knew it was me. And that concludes the tale of Bros of Minjelbra. I did the same thing. Had to present. Presented for 5 minutes before realizing my name was still. No one said anything. I was in basic French class and there's a short paragraph with a character named Vladimir. The French teacher asked who is Vladimir. In the story, the one Russian girl in class said a bad president. We use Teams. My class asked whose door's making that noise. I turn around to look at my birds who are screaming behind me like normal, and one is somehow inside of one of the food bowls. They have covers over so only a small hole for them to stick heads in. Another one is trying to rip another bowl out of the side, and the other two are taking in turns sitting on top of each other's heads. The class quickly point to me as the culprit for the loud door. I got muted. I'm not a student but I work for a school district and we had a ton of phone meetings with various people. Every time we heard barking in the background, my boss would try to guess whose dog it was. She was surprisingly accurate. A lot of people in town have dogs, and apparently my boss has met and played with enough of them to recognize their voices over the phone. Something I witnessed online. We were bored out of our minds when this dude starts moaning and making random weird anime noises. He thought he was muted until the teacher starts to say, "I know you are very excited but please mute your mic. Dude, quit the meeting." Random weird anime noises. Please do not describe any further, that is enough. Every day in class I put a random background on. One day was an optical illusion. One day a wall of toilet paper. One day the "this is fine" meme. One day a sped up version of a round of Plague Inc. I think I got bonus points on one of my chemistry tests for using a periodic table as my background. On the day of one of my tests, proctored through Zoom, I had a background on which took the old DVD screensaver, but instead of the logo reading DVD it said "covered." My teacher asked if I could turn it off, as it was distracting for her. I said of course, but I don't know if that'll be much better. I was in my mom's art room, so the background was bright and colorful and significantly more distracting than a slowly moving purple box on a black background. I took about 30 seconds in Paint to make a solid black background, which she greatly appreciated. Not that interesting, but every morning I've been filming myself making breakfast, like a cooking show. One morning I was doing something else and my teacher got kind of concerned. He paused the lecture to ask why I didn't cook. That's kinda sweet. A work call story. One of my co-owners decided to get on with some housework in the background of the call, so left a clock with shorts on in front of the camera and pretended it was himself. He then added a banana and 2 balls. We don't get much work done. The teacher had bad internet at the time so he got disconnected. Some random guy got assigned as admin and unmuted us all. Eventually we all decided just to play a general trivia Kahoot with the new host screen sharing. To this day it remains the most exciting thing to happen in year 10 science. On April the 1st I recorded myself pretending not to hear anyone, then put the video as a virtual background, then went under the table so that I wouldn't be seen in front of the virtual background, and started a meeting. People were giving me advice on how to turn on the microphone, when I literally jumped out of myself. LOL. You should have seen their face XD. We had a Kahoot and over half the participants got the first question wrong and this one kid that everyone makes fun of was like, "Am I in last place? I'm in 40th place." And then one of the seniors goes, "Probably. Is anyone lower than 40th?" I was in 41st but didn't want to say anything and the poor kid got bashed by like 10 different people and I feel kinda bad. Kid brought it on himself for asking. Belgian uni student here. 2 teachers quit their jobs a couple weeks ago. They held a Teams lecture at one of the teachers' house in the afternoon and kept it going until late at night, socializing with the students with a beer. Neighbors called the police because of the noise and the police showed up at the house. The police officers happened to be on camera because one teacher invited the other to his house, which was forbidden at the time due to corona. The police had the right to give them a ticket for that. The discussion got heated, and one teacher was seizing the opportunity to make some political and under the Belgian law, racist statements, saying things such as Belgium is becoming a fascist state and comparing the police to Nazis, Heil Hitler and stuff. The officers got pretty mad, but did nothing and left in the end. Of course some students recorded the Zoom lecture, and the day after the incident, the whole university saw it. The board expelled the 2 teachers, but they quit in the end, admitting their mistake. It's a pretty big stain on the university's image, in my opinion. One kid shaved off his hair and eyebrows on live a couple days before class, so when I saw him I was take off your hat, and then the whole class told him to take it off and told the teacher what he did, so she was like, oh, I want to see it, so eventually he did, and then we spent the next 30 minutes comparing him to Steve Harvey and Lil Bill in the chat. Good times. Some kid printed a black piece of paper with the words reconnecting facing the computer lens to avoid a Zoom class. The only reason he was caught was because the paper had reconnecting. Sick. So all my ass dudes decide to enter the class using adult actresses' names. There is a list of people with usernames like Mia Khalifa, Riley Reid, Madison Ivy. The teacher was just screaming for about 10 minutes and asking who is Mia Khalifa while asking us to change our usernames and enter again. Would be funnier if the teacher went like, oh, I know Riley Reid, good actress. I have seen all her movies. During a class my cat jumped on the keyboard. I proceed to take her off and do a very intense baby talk. Something like, oh, you're my best friend little fluffy baby. Asuaru soft. Barbie bye best friend. Hard to convey in text but add some encore and cooing noises and kid pronunciation. Until I hear laughs and my teacher saying my mic is on. The cat apparently turned it on. Mortifying. Imagine a leg on Alt and next on V. Not Zoom, but Teams. Someone muted my math teacher in the middle of a class, and he didn't notice until someone told him. It lasted 5 minutes. Another one. We heard noise of running water for a whole French class. No one knows who or what made it. Last one. Not me. Someone in Latin class called the teacher a bad word. Wasn't here so IDK what it was. The teacher entered at the same moment. I have an aquarium in every room I ever work in, so there's a constant running water sound when I'm unmuted. It was probably that. Fell asleep during a lecture only to wake up 1 hour after lecture ended still on the Zoom call with 3 other students. Never exited out of a window faster in my life. I was gaming and my teacher was calling me. For a moment I thought it was my friend, so I was like wait shut up, it's a 1v4, I still lost that round. Comma and my attendance for that day SMH. Imagine just being told shut up man, I need to clutch this crap. I'm in Model United Nations, and obviously my state's conference was cancelled. My school's Model UN club decided it'd be a good idea to do our own little debates and resolutions online. We were writing some resolutions and I was giving a lot of input when the leader of our club goes, "Squawks, I love you, but I'd really like to hear from some other people as well." So of course I shut up and let everyone talk, except nobody was talking. It was dead silence. I had only been talking to save her butt from the crippling silence she'd have to suffer if I wasn't there. But she hadn't seen that, and boy oh boy was it quiet. Our club leader is a junior, and she's a sweet person, but she gets a little ahead of herself sometimes XD. Somebody in my sister class give the password to other people, so some kid from other school connected to the lesson and cursed at the teacher aggressively. This also happened in Lithuania. Same in my class, Italy. One that happened to my class was, we had a business studies class and our teacher is one of the best and coolest ones in the whole school. She was sharing a presentation with us and kids figured out the right feature and started drawing random crap until she got pee off and told whoever it was to stop. Kid replies by writing "Sorry mom." She asks child, "Did you get everything?" The kid writes back, "Yes mom, you're a very good teacher," and she must have liked that because for the rest of the meeting the kid would answer her questions by writing on the screen and she wouldn't say anything cause it was always in the corner or something, not really interrupting. Then suddenly a bunch of other kids started drawing random crap too and the odd kid writes, "Guys no, don't interrupt the meeting," and she says something like, "Oh what does this button do?" and somehow she got a list for everyone who was drawing on the screen and she called them out. Nobody drew anything else for the meeting except the odd kid and I'm sure as heck glad I chose that one subject to not draw anything in. One thing that happened to a bunch of 10th graders was some kid screen shared P to the meeting and it got the school to ban Zoom calls, and the management decided to create a new Microsoft Teams ID for every single kid using a newly created email ID specifically for this using the school domain. Got our classes cancelled for 2 days cause they had to create all the IDs, but it was worth stopping all the shithousery. Shithousery haha. Whole year assembly. 200 students, principal and 5 other teachers droning about the value of risk taking or whatever. Everyone's mics on mute, but suddenly we heard something. You'll like dong and ball torture? From then on the teachers figured out how to automatically disable everyone's mics when they enter the meeting. Well, they did take a risk, so the lesson wasn't put to waste. Our physics exam is about to get rated. That's gonna be a great Zoom story to tell kids when I am 60 after explaining how 2020 crap hit the fan. Record it. It's not my favorite, but it's all those times where the teacher asks something and it goes dead silent. I feel bad for the teacher, but at the same time I don't want to take one for the team. The teacher often just sighs and goes on with the lesson. Yee, it feels really bad, especially if the teacher seems to care about his class. I accidentally muted the CEO of a large company for everyone in the call who was guest lecturing our class. Stupidest thing ever. Had a super chill teacher. I do online class normally, so COVID hasn't affected me or my classmates. We have a pretty small class, 9 of us plus teacher, since Native American studies isn't very popular. One day this kid decided it would be a great idea to have a smoke session while our teacher was getting ready for our class. Teacher comes and sits down in his chair, taking a few seconds to look over some papers before looking at the screen. Meanwhile, Buddy is sitting on his bed 5 feet away from his screen, blowing a fat cloud out of his bedroom window. Teacher sees us and stares at him, all of us thinking he's gonna get in huge crap. Weed wasn't legal yet, and the teacher finally opens his mouth and says, "That was impressive. Name. Hope you're able to stay awake through class today," like it was absolutely nothing. My day will have a theme for every class. One day he is in a tux in a ballroom with his water in a wine glass. The next day he will be in skiing clothes and in the Alps with his water in a beer mug. The weirdest one was definitely when he dressed in a white shirt that merged with the background and claimed that he was wearing an invisibility cloak while sitting in the Hogwarts main hall. That's so cool. So I was in Portuguese class and this teacher sends a lot of exercises and then asks the students for the answers. In comes the turn of a classmate of mine to answer and he says, "I read it on Monday. I don't really remember the text." And the teacher goes, "You do know that I can see who opened the file I sent you, right?" And the guy is just silence. Meanwhile I'm just losing it laughing. Twama joined my Zoom class. My teacher was muted and gone, so he just yelled, "Okay, today we will learn how to skin a lion in an African accent." Hilarious. My teacher ran out of material. AP testing wasn't far away, and just started to practice throwing axes in his backyard since that was his hobby. It was very cool. Alright, so I had just switched to my new high school right before the pandemic and I was introducing myself to the class via Zoom. It was going pretty well up until my AP Lit class. The teacher was, in my opinion, smoking hot. Like it looked like she might have been fresh out of college or something. I didn't object. But at the end, instead of saying "It was nice meeting you," I ended up saying "It was nice doing you," followed by a pause, followed by an audible crap. Then I left the Zoom meeting and drowned my regret and embarrassment with some Chinese food. Oof. A girl was having sex with her camera on during a final. It was apparently an accident. The funny thing is that she didn't even look that into it. Kid in my old high school decided to name himself Hentaverus and played hentai in the background. Now the school is on a witch hunt for him for sexual harassment. It is an all-boys school and the discipline master is not particularly well liked, so no one has ratted him out yet. My sister yelling and oh shit, I got my period and I need to refast this day. That was during Ramadan, and getting a period after 12 PM means they're gonna keep on fasting till the day ends, but after Ramadan you have to repeat a day. My worst experience so far. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.